Hey class, let's look at problem 62. This is actually the second time I recorded this video because there was a discrepancy between my answer and the answer that was recorded in the textbook. And looking at it a little bit closer, I kind of figured out what was going on. And basically the deal is if you're going to use Desmos, there's a setting I need to show you so that your answers match what we would get out of our TI-84 calculators. So each team in Mrs. Zalewski's biology class is growing oyster mushrooms. The weight of several specimens was recorded along with the number of days of growth. That data was collected and is shown in the table below. The first thing that we're asked to do, A, is it says make a scatter plot for the data and sketch it onto your paper. Use time as the independent variable, so we're going to say time is our x values, and we'll use therefore y is my dependent variable will be the weight in grams, and it says describe the association. So I'm going to switch to Desmos to do this. So here's my Desmos, and of course I've already logged in. I do recommend that as you do the work with Desmos that you just log in and save your graphs so you can have them. So I'm going to hit save, and you can see there's another one down there already that I did before, but I'm going to do oh, I didn't want to do a new blank graph. Let me see. Oh, do I have this? Okay, I'm going to do a new blank graph. um, so let me go ahead and I'll just call this 9-62. 9-62. Enter. No, that's not where I name it. Here it is. Here's the name. Okay, now that I finally got this figured out and I've named this Honors Math 1 9-62, I need to add a table of values. So in Desmos, you just hit the plus here, and you can see right here is table. And I'm going to record my x values in the first column and the corresponding y values in the second column. Okay, so I've entered my data and I've checked it twice. I'm pretty sure this is the correct values. And the next thing we need to do is copy this and paste it into our report. So if you'll notice over here, there is a share button that's right next to it says share graph. So I'm going to tap share graph, and I'm going to export the image. And you can see it puts the image here. I think it looks better, especially online, if you hit medium thickness. And then if you just right click this, you're going to be allowed to copy that image. So now this image is on my clipboard. So I can zoom out a little bit and make room to add this graph right here. So looking at this, we can see that we're asked to describe the association, and basically what I see happening is as the number of days increases, the weight of the mushrooms get larger. So I've written down for part A, as the number of days increases, the weight of the mushroom also increases. I didn't use the word also, but maybe I should put also there. ALSO. Um, Looking at this, right, I'm looking and then looking at part B. Let's move on to part B. Part B says the weight of the mushrooms depends on growth over time. Okay, what kind of equation do you suggest to model this data? Well, when we look at this, right, it's pretty clear that this is not a linear situation, right? I mean, I could, there's probably I could do a least square regression, find the least square regression line, and it would put a line there, but that's not going to be an adequate model for this data. So we're looking at something that's exponential. So we're going to go to Desmos and we'll attempt to look at that. So in Desmos, you recall, oops, let's leave the graph. We got that done. So I come down here, and in the next box, I'm going to type some things, not with this keyboard, but with this keyboard. I'm going to type some things to get the least square regression line. The first thing I type is y and then a 1. So what I'm saying is I want you to look at the values in y1 and use this to help me build a model. So those are my y's that I entered in the table above. And then I'm going to use this symbol tilde. On my keyboard it's shift and it's in the upper left hand corner. Maybe it's not shift, it's just Yeah, it is. It's shift and it's just right below the escape key. But on here, you can see it if you hit second and go to the letters. Right here is this symbol that I'm talking about. So I type that, and then I want it to be A and then B, and I'm going to raise that B to the X power. So I'm going to come back here and I'm going to say, I'm going to just, this is the button. Don't worry about the fact that they're using A and B. But if you've got a base and you want to go to the exponent, you hit this button, and then I'm just going to say to the X1 powered. So what it's doing now is it's using the values from my table above to create this line of fit. Now, what I discovered was that this line disagreed with what I got from my TI calculator. So in the calculator, it's stats, calc, and then you go down to 0, which is exponential regression. And when I did that, it gave me a value of A that was 0.8 and a value of B, my multiplier, that was 1.67. And that's quite different than what I'm seeing here. So I need to investigate this more, but what I noticed is that if I turn on log mode, this gave me almost the exact values that I see in my calculator. So for now, if I'm asking you to fit an exponential curve, and you can see the difference, look at the graph over there. You can see it kind of flattens it, and it flattens it earlier and then makes it rise up longer. So if you were trying to, be an alarmist and say things are going to be terrible as time goes on, using this log makes it grow faster. So I don't know if you want to be deceptive with your data, but I'm just observing that that appears to happen there. So it got steeper, right? So anyways, this is the model that our calculator generated. So I'm going to copy these values and write down the equation. So for B, I did write down, it says, what kind of equation do you suggest to model this? I said, this is not linear. I will use an exponential model. And I used y equals ab to the x power. Okay, so now it says model the data with the regression equation. Does the y-intercept of your model make sense? So let's go ahead and write down the equation that we got from Desmos. So for C, given the values of A and B that I had from Desmos, I went ahead and wrote down that the model is y equals 0.08 times 1.67 to the x power. C also asks, does the y-intercept of your model make sense in this context? So if I was to plug in x was 0, this A value right here, right, 0.08, would be the weight of the mushroom when it started to grow. And I don't have any idea what, I mean, they're not seeds, they're spores, but this is 0.08 of a gram. So I'd say that's probably small enough. Starts as a spore. I'm putting a question mark there, so if a biology teacher's watching this, they could say, no, Mr. Roberts, those aren't spores. They're called little baby mushroom seeds. I don't know what they are. But yeah, the weight is 0.08 grams, so a very small part of a gram. All right, then finally D, it says, what do you predict an 8-day-old oyster mushroom will weigh? Use appropriate precision in your answer. So I did copy the graph with the data and the line of best fit from Desmos over to here. And you can see if I was to jump up to day 8, right, we're looking at day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So at day 8, I'm just going to follow this up to the curve, up to my model. Right about there. And then as I move this over, I can see that this is somewhere just below the number 5. And in fact, when I did this on the TI calculator, um, I basically looked at the graph and I asked it to trace it. And when I was hit tracing and I typed in the value 8, it gave me 4.95. So I'm thinking in terms of appropriate precision, we probably should say that the weight at day 8 would be about 5, right? Again, if I just follow this line over, it's very close to 5. So I'll put for part D at day 8, I expect a weight of 5 grams. About. All right, so I'm glad that I looked at this in context of our TI calculators and the answers that they had in the textbook, because if you don't turn on that logarithm with the log option, log mode in Desmos, you're going to get an answer that differs from the answer key online. So I think that seems to be the issue, but I probably need to investigate that more and figure out what exactly the difference is and why you would choose one over the other. Anyways, that's question 62. I hope you found our time together productive. I'll see you later.